Hello and welcome to B Plus News and Reports. I hope you can see me. I hope you can hear me as well. Please confirm so that we can start. Is I'm audible to you? Is anybody there who can confirm? Yes. Wonderful. So we have got the confirmation. So welcome to B Plus News and Reports, and this is breakfast interview with entrepreneur. And we have today with us Ridhima Arora, who is the owner of Namhyafoods, and you have very recently seen her on Shark Tank India Season 1. So B plus namaste to you, Ridhima. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I was saying thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for taking out some time. I know you are very busy nowadays. And first of all, how is your journey going on, Ridhima? And we also want to know, when did you started your entrepreneurship journey?
So we started back in 2019, but there are no physical products in the market back then. It was only during April 2020 is when we started our sales. So our journey sort of I think it dates back to when I was trying to lose weight, which is back in 2012. Um, so I think I got really interested in health and health foods that time. I lost about 30 kgs. Did a couple of things to figure out what is good for me, what is not good for me. But I never felt or thought that it would become something full time. As a profession, I was a brand manager, after that. And I sort of worked in the brand management space for about 5 years before starting Namya. But I think back in 2018, because of an internal health issue within the family, that happened. And I think I felt that this was something that we had to do, full time. Also, the fact that, my father's business has been into Ayurvedic herbs since 1937. So it's a business which is 80 years old. Although we used to do only Ayurvedic herbs back then, I felt that this was something that needed to go far beyond Jammu and villages around Jammu. So I think that was the intent.
Okay, so if we say what you are doing right now, that has been initiated in 1930s, right?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, yes, because my grandfather sort of was doing it already. So yeah, technically, yeah, we've been into Ayurveda since 1937.
Okay, and when you finally decided after losing your 30 kgs, as you said, and you thought of giving it a full-time, entrepreneurship journey, how was the situation? I mean, how was the situation of Indian entrepreneurship, or was it easy for you to start? Was it easy to start the business or not?
See, I come from a business family. So I think me doing a business wasn't something that was looked at very strangely or very differently. So I think from that perspective, yes, it wasn't that difficult. So I didn't have the exact amount of support, but I think I also didn't have any retaliations from people around. So since you're coming from a business family, it becomes very obvious that at some point of time you will end up doing a business. So from that perspective, no. But yeah, of course, I mean, the challenges that I faced are the challenges that you generally end up facing because of how you start a startup. So yeah, those were there.
Okay. And
Sorry.
how easy was it in Indian scenario, if we talk about the Indian context, ease of doing business in India, was that easy for you? Or what were the challenges then?
I think no, it isn't easy to do business in India. There are there are different means and ways of how you do business in India. It's not a straight path. And I think I did have to sort of face those kind of challenges. It's not easy, is what I would say. Ease of doing business in India is definitely not very easy. Um, there are operational challenges. There are challenges because of the way things happen here. how certifications get approved from the government. There are different challenges at different places. But yes, having said that, I think it's not that simple, is what I would say. Especially when you are a lady, when you are a girl, because I sort of grew up in a very protective environment, and then moving out and doing everything all by my own was a little bit of challenge. I was 27 when I started Namya. It's been almost 2.5, 3 years. So in the last 3 years, I've done things that I didn't do ever, in terms of just breaking the norms and doing taking decisions, or doing things that I felt I couldn't do, because those were very man-led jobs or decisions or tasks. But I think once you're in it, you'll do anything to make it work, is what I feel. And then the genders become very there's a thin line between genders then, so you end up doing it. So I think, yeah, that.
But if we say like the entire world is distributed or divided into two parts, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. So what do you think? How is the situation for upcoming entrepreneurs in India specifically? Are the things better now, or do you think it's not better? It's the same when you started.
I was reading somewhere the statistics for 2015 and 2000, I think 21. So the investments have gone up by, I think it was 6 billion, and then it moved to 85 billion. So I think it has been a multi-fold incremental growth in the number of startups that have come in India. It's almost 10 times of what it was in the last 5 years. So I think things are really going concrete. Things are really going fast. There's a lot of FFI money that is coming into the country. So I think from that perspective, I feel that things are really, really going well for people.
So what are your suggestions, Ridhima, to upcoming entrepreneurs, and specifically for female entrepreneurs? Because now there is a craze to get into entrepreneurship. So what is your suggestion?
I think we're too young and small as a business to sort of start giving suggestions. I feel I think it's there's a lot that we have to do right now to sort of be in a place where we could tell somebody that what to do and what not to do. But I feel that persistence or consistency is very important. One needs to be far more consistent to be able to make things big. Second would be to not think too much. And 1 second.
So what Ridhima was talking about, persistency, consistently approaching, and keep on following your dream. If you have seen her on Shark Tanks, that is exactly what she was doing out there. After a lot of questions, after a lot of difficult questions, I would say, she was very persistent. She knew what I'm looking for, what is it that I want to do. So that's what I was talking, Ridhima, while you were away. Can you hear me, Ridhima?
On the contrary, I felt I was hearing it. It's just that the signal's really weak here.
Yeah.
On the contrary, I think initially I was very inconsistent in how I was doing things. Also because there were external factors like a pandemic that was running in. So I think those were the reasons why I felt that the external environment is too dominant, that we can't run our business in a certain way. But I think you do mistakes, and I think from my mistakes I can definitely tell that irrespective of how the external environment is, you should be more consistent, is what I would say, probably who's just starting up. Second, I would say is that keep your operational costs low, because you don't know how sales are going to fluctuate month on month. And once you move away from a creative energy just because you are under the pressure that Yeah, I can't meet the monthly expenses. I think that's when the fear will start and the creative energy will sort of go down. So definitely, I think keep your OPEX a little low. And third is, I think funding is not the solution for everything, which a lot of startups do feel. I have my own friends who started startups in the last 3-4 years, and everything is running on the basis of funding. But honestly, I feel that you make something great and you build things up, and then when you need to scale up, then seek for a funding, unless it's a service dominant um, model, or it's an initial investment heavy model and you need funding. But don't think that funding is a solution to whatever you're wanting to achieve. So I think probably those three things.
Actually, that was my next question, Ridhima. You have already answered that. So I'll step on to the next question of from the list. So what do you think, which areas or which sectors are a little comfortable to start with for upcoming entrepreneurs, I'm asking?
I think it's a very emotive slash passion slash interest driven decision that you take, right? Somebody who has interest in machinery, in operations, would probably start a steel business, or probably something related to manufacturing, right? Vis-a-vis somebody who likes to talk, they will probably do something related to business development, or something related to only sales. Like, I think real estate or the brokerage business is a very communication led business. So I think different people have different interests and passions, and I don't think anything is difficult or easy. It's just about what your interest area is. But in general, I feel that e-commerce is going to boom like anything.
E-commerce is going to boom, and our last video on e-commerce is very much there. You can go through it. Part 2 is about to come, so just watch that e-commerce video also. Ridhima, I have a different question from this list, not from this list actually. How many hours of working for you nowadays?
You should not ask these questions. I think for me, it's very random. Some days I have to work probably 16 hours, 17 hours. Some days I work probably 10 hours, 11 hours. So it depends on the kind of the day. I usually start my day with the mindset that so I have my day divided in two parts. One is where I do things that I have to do from a growth perspective, like the growth elements that I have decided for the month, and that I work on. And the rest of the day usually goes into calls, meetings. I usually make myself available for wherever my team is getting stuck. So that's the kind of role I play right now.
Because the purpose behind asking this question is to give an understanding to all the viewers that it is not easy. It is not easy, but it requires a lot of persistency, right? And
Yeah, absolutely. I think
approach.
anybody who's done anything big in life, and I don't think we've done big in life, it needs that kind of hard work. You can't escape things. Probably some people say that it's more in the start and it's less while it reaches a certain place. But I think it's also very dependent on the kind of person you are. Like, I've now sort of come to a position where I've started leaving things to people, and I let them run the show. But initially, I wasn't like that. I'm also learning as a leader, as somebody who runs the company. You also sort of start understanding how you need to take things forward. Because if I keep doing all the work myself, then things will not reach probably where I want them to reach. So I think I'm also learning on the way. But having said that, you learn, you unlearn, but it takes some time, and that means a lot of time in the day. So yeah.
So you are a leader with different stroke for different folk kind of strategy you are.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great. So coming to a section which everybody would love to understand and hear it from you, your experience on Shark Tank season 1 India.
I think it was great. It was my first experience with a production house. I've never interacted or spoken or talked to a production house directly. So I think understanding the production house, understanding how people work on a set, understanding what it takes to create a show. Since I'm somebody who likes to sort of also look at the other elements of um, uh, things wherever I am, I was very fancied by the whole idea of how a studio works, how video editing happens, what does an AD do. So I was, more than that, I was just, roaming around and sort of observing things there. Um, but I think the participants I met, the startups that I saw, the judges that I met, I think it was a very creative ecosystem overall. I'm usually not camera shy. I usually um, don't have those kind of issues. So I was enjoying the process more or less. But I think seeing so many people with such creative ideas, with such attachment, and that there's this passion to build something big. I think seeing that was really good. And I met people, who were probably 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years old in the business. And they also started like how we did, and then they were able to see multifold incremental growth. And that also sort of gives you a sense of the possibility of what all can you do. Sometimes
Wonderful.
things are on the Excel sheet, you have projections, and then you meet people who've done it in the last 3-4 years. And I think that was a good boost to what we are trying to do. And I think everybody was so hardworking, everybody was so positive. So I think a lot to learn out there.
So I guess you have worked a lot before getting into Shark Tank, and giving that wonderful elevated pitch in front of all the sharks. So, what all went, if you can just briefly tell us how many months of hardship behind those, I think it was just 2 minutes that you got.
No. So it was it started in August, the selection process. And then I think it took about 4-5 months sort of, and a couple of interviews sort of clear the studio round, which everybody saw. The studio round was not 2 minutes. For me, it ran about 1.5 hours. And the 15-minute clipping that you see is usually the edited version of that 1.5 hour conversation that I had out there. Of course, you can't see the 1.5 hour conversation, because then um, the the whole conversation drills down to a lot more detail
Correct.
once you are there in front of them. What essentially is shown on TV is basically the idea, the fundamentals, and the core statistics, and the major drawbacks, or whatever the editing team thinks is right to put on. So I think that's what you saw. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a great experience overall.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Now, coming to a section where we want to understand, Ridhima, about your organization, about your product, because I had a discussion with you and I find it really, really helpful, really interesting. If you can tell us about the products that you have.
So I think Ayurveda was running in a very traditional way, right? You have the capsule, you have the churan, you have the powder, and you can move away from XYZ disease, or how Ayurveda sort of was introduced to us, right? Um, but there are so many Ayurvedic herbs that you can have on an everyday basis, and they can start healing your body naturally. So, which basically means that you don't have to wait for a certain disease to surface on the body to have a particular medicine. So, the idea was that we understood the Ayurvedic herbs, we understood how much quantity should you take on a per day basis, or what product or what Ayurvedic herb you can take on a daily basis. So, the idea was that can we introduce Ayurvedic herbs in a regular lifestyle? In a regular day-to-day scenario of somebody's life, can we do that, is what we had thought initially. Also, I feel that India, almost 70% diseases are lifestyle diseases, and that itself is mainly BP, cholesterol, thyroid, diabetes, periods issue in women, and stuff like that. So the idea was that somebody's diabetes or somebody's high BP will sort of convert into a heart trouble after 30 years, 20 years, whatever lifestyle somebody has, depending on that, right? Can we stop the disease from where it is arising? So hence the preventive healthcare segment. So currently we have about 26 products, periods care tea, liver cleanse tea, thyroid tea, diabetes tea. This is the tea preventive healthcare section, tea section. And we wanted to do Ayurvedic herbs in the tea because India is a tea drinking economy. So for people to drink kahadas, for people to drink teas comes very naturally to them. So we didn't want to force some powder or some churn. We just wanted to build an ecosystem where it becomes very normal or becomes part of the lifestyle. So that's the kind of products we're doing right now.
Wonderful. So the website link is given in the description box. It will be there in the description box in a few seconds. You can go and check it out. So thank you so much, Ridhima, for your time, for discussing all these things and sharing your experience. I am sure that people learned a lot, and those who are going to see it later will obviously learn. And if there is any question, dear audience, you can definitely put that in the comment section. And if you have not subscribed our channel, you have to do that, right? For such more videos, interactive videos, and for more learning videos. So thank you so much, Ridhima. B plus namaste to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.